I'm Erica. I'm the owner of the Sewin Asylum, a fabric and sewing studio in Sun City, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix. So today what I'm going to show you how to do is a drawstring bag. And the drawstring bag is what we start our students out with. When we teach an intro to sew class, we teach a student how to use his or her sewing machine. But as a follow-up project, we always do the drawstring bag. I've been teaching sewing for over 25 years now, and so this has always been a really good project. One of the reasons why it's a great starter project is you can make anything out of a rectangle. And so we came up with this project, and it's actually the perfect size to store your foot control and cord for your sewing machine. So we start out with a 12-inch by 21-inch piece of fabric. When you're learning how to sew and the directions in some patterns just say cut out a rectangle, how do you know it's straight? What we found is we use this product by Pellon, and it's called True Grid, and it's divided up into 1-inch grids, and you can easily make patterns from all the different things that you find online. And so this keeps you straight, plus you've got a permanent pattern, and we love it. So a 12 by 21-inch piece of fabric, which is right here. And then the other tools that you're going to need, well, you're obviously going to need thread. Okay, we're going to use 100% polyester thread. This is the Mettler brand thread, which we absolutely love. You want to make sure it's all-purpose thread. Sometimes when you're not familiar with thread, you might get buttonhole thread, upholstery thread, heavyweight thread. Just look for all-purpose or sew-all thread. And when it comes to whether your thread matches or not, general rule, what I was taught was if your thread is just a slight bit darker than your fabric, then it will blend in really well. For the purposes of this video today, we actually used purple thread so you can see what's going on. You'll also need a 24-inch length of ribbon, 1/2 inch wide. I wouldn't go any wider than 3/4 of an inch because your casing, where the ribbon's going to be going through, is going to be 1 inch wide. We're using our pins. We have a grab-it magnetic pin magnet. We love that. We've got a seam gauge, and so it's got our little slidey, so we know what measurement to use. Between my thumb and index finger, this right here is a 1/2 inch wide, but at the end right here, this is 5/8 of an inch wide. Most standard commercial sewing patterns have a seam allowance of 5/8 of an inch wide, and this is helpful as you're learning to sew. To get our ribbon through our casing, we've got two different products. This is a new product that we have here. It's the Clip and Glide Bodkin, and I'll be showing you how to use this. There's also a tool called the Purple Thing, which helps thread things through, or you've also got the option of a standard safety pin. Finally, you'll need a good pair of scissors. And I always mark mine with a ribbon, so I know these are my fabric scissors, but when we're in class, I know that they're mine. Your first step that you're going to do is you're going to zigzag stitch all the way around your rectangle. This is designed to help prevent the fabric from raveling when it gets washed. It also gives you practice on following a line. Don't worry if you're not perfect at first. This is all designed to be practice. Once you've zigzagged all the way around your rectangle, and before I forget, your zigzag settings when you do this, on my machine it was 5 millimeters wide and 2 millimeters long, but your machine may have a different setting. Play with it, because ultimately what you want it to do is to wrap the edge there. The next step in our directions, we're going to set our seam gauge to 2 inches. Alright, our next step is we're going to fold our fabric in half. Fold is right over here, raw edge is right here. We're going to measure down 2 inches, and we're going to take a little 1/2 inch snip right into our fabric. After we make our snip, we're going to iron it down, and then after we iron it, we're going to sew right here and right here. The purpose of this stitch is simply to hold this fold down. And we're going to sew the other side. Like I said, it doesn't matter where exactly, it just as long as this gets sewn down. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of sewing right there, Is it under my presser foot? Needle down. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take these corners right here at my index fingers, and we're coming down to these corners right down here. Folding this down like so. And what that's doing is that's providing a casing for our ribbon. You can even use your seam gauge to make sure that it's folded evenly all the way across. Once you've sewn, or once you've ironed this all the way across, we're going to sew it, and it's very important at the beginning and end of our casing here, we're going to do what I call the cha-cha-cha. So we're going to take it, put it into the machine. What we're going to be doing is, here's your zigzag stitch that you originally sewed. So now we're going to do a straight stitch following right along here. And so I'm operating the machine without the foot control today. I can just hit the button like this. I'm on my Eversewn sewing machine. I'm going to go forward, I'm going to stop and reverse. This in old-fashioned lingo was called back stitching. Our lingo, we say it's doing the cha-cha-cha, but what that does is it locks in your stitches. Now I'm sewing down using a 2.5 millimeter stitch length, which roughly translates to, I think, about 8 to 10 stitches per inch. Go a little bit faster. I live on the edge here. When you get to the end, I stop. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to come forward. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take our edges, we're going to put them together. And in sewing terms, this is referred to as right sides together. This is the right side of your fabric, this is the wrong side of your fabric. So right sides together, and what we're going to do is we're going to come down, we're going to start right here, we're going to come down, and then when we get to roughly 5/8 from the edge here, we needle down, foot up, and pivot, and we're going to come down like this, and back stitch. We also back stitch at the beginning too. So here we go to sew our final stitch on our drawstring bag. Alrighty, now here we go. We're starting right at the very top. I'm going to come forward a couple stitches and stop, go back, and come forward. And you'll notice I put some pins in just to keep it secure. Get to the end here, and I'm almost to the end. I can turn my hand wheel, needle down, press our foot up, and sometimes you've got some lines here on the machine you can use to help you guide your fabric. And backwards. Come forward. Alrighty, last step. We're going to trim off our threads. And to reduce the bulk, you can trim off this corner like so. Be careful not to trim into your stitching. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this right side out. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this right side out. I can use my little bodkin here to poke out my corners. The last thing we're going to do is I've got this little bodkin that holds, it's got a little mouth here. I put my ribbon inside here like this, clamp it down, and I'm going to take this head of it and do the technical terms called the shimmy shimmy pull. And I ease it on out the other end. Unclip, take the two ends together like this, make a loop. Okay, here we go. And then the very last thing I do is I cut that diagonally like so, so it won't fray. You've made your first drawstring bag. Congratulations. As you can see, you can do lots of things with a rectangle, and drawstring bags make great gifts, great things to hold your foot control and cord, your mouse for your computer, cords, things like that. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we'll have some more videos in the future. Bye now.